Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, April 6th. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu is our guest. Let's go on the record. Making the case for 4 more years. Will a recent win streak extend an historic administration, or are there storm clouds ahead? The mayor is here. Time to go on the record.
From WCVB Channel 5, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to OTR. I'm Ben Cimino. Ed Harding off on this Sunday.
I'm Charmin Sacchetti, and with us at the table, as you can see, is Boston Mayor Michelle Wu. She has just officially announced her re-election bid, though she did tip us off here on OTR a few months back. Now a mother of 3 after the birth of baby Mira in January. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
And congratulations on the re-election announcement. You've been on a bit of a roll of late. You got a victory in court over White Stadium construction, a much praised appearance before Congress, but as we have seen in a number of recent election cycles, the bar for incumbents is very high. Voters are still angry and frustrated. How are you going to make your case to voters?
Well, as you say, it has been quite a busy life that baby Mira has had so far in the last 2.5, 3 months. And for me, it's just been an honor to serve in this role, to get to see all that is still happening across the city in a very difficult moment. You know, we have accomplished so much in Boston over the last 4 years. We have made historic gains with the safest safety statistics ever and safest major city in the country. At the same time that we've created the most affordable housing, expanded childcare to the most seats that we've ever had, created job opportunities for young people and for the life sciences and healthcare. We're partnering every possible industry, and we have so much more to do. This needs to be a city for families, and we can be the example that the rest of the country needs.
You mentioned housing and childcare. It is still really expensive to live in Boston. Have you done enough to bring down those costs?
It's incredibly tough right now. The pressures on families everywhere are being exacerbated by the federal government's actions. Day after day, we see new headlines coming out about executive orders that are starting trade wars with other parts of the world or adding tariffs that are inevitably going to come back to prices at the grocery store or construction costs as people are seeking housing. So we are doing everything we can in Boston. We're proposing investments and a budget that is sound and right at that balance point to be prepared for the worst case scenario while keeping our communities stable and creating opportunity here locally.
Your opponent, Josh Kraft, accuses you and your team of simply not listening to people. He points to issues like White Stadium and some members of the neighborhood there, and also bike lanes, which many residents and businesses have certainly complained about. Should you be more attentive to residents and businesses in the city?
You know, what I pride our administration on is really not shying away from the hard issues. I've been in city government for over a decade now, and I know that we tend to have the same conversations about the same challenges year after year after year, and often nothing happens. And it's because these are tough problems to solve. The city is very opinionated. We have amazing activists and advocates and people from a wide range of views. We seek to create the spaces where everyone can have a say, be involved.
You're backpedaling as well, though, on some bike lanes now.
Well, what I would say is that this isn't about checking a box and moving on with any city policy. It's not like at the national level where you can talk the talk and then people don't have to actually check if you accomplished anything. When you do something at the city level, it has immediate impact and then it has impact over time. And so we are always striving to make sure that the decisions that we make, the designs, the streets, the buildings, the sidewalks, are actually what the city needs as we continue to see an evolving economy and how people use our streets and how people get around. So I'm really proud of what we've done. It's hard to make the hard decisions. We are focused on making sure everybody is part of the conversation, everybody is part of getting things done, but at the end of the day, we do want to move things forward.
Well, developer Tom O'Brien considered running against you and then decided not to. Now, you've clashed certainly with developers over environmental regulations, business taxes. Critics say your policies are stifling development. Are they?
This is not a time to shy away from the needs of our residents. If anything, with the economy under stress, with so many different attacks on Boston and our industries and our identities and communities, we have to be more firm than ever about what our future requires. And so we can't present ourselves with a false choice that we either have jobs or protect people by making sure we are safe from superstorms and flooding and heat, or making sure that we're investing in affordability. It can't be an either or, and I know that some who are in the private sector who are used to making money and building the buildings to develop for profit, it's a difficult time with interest rates as high as they've been at the federal level, and again, all the challenges coming out of the Trump administration. We have worked to try to streamline processes, rezone the city, work to make city land available for free for developers. But we can't wave a magic wand and change what DC does. What we can do is stay focused on what our people in Boston need first and foremost.
Speaking of what DC does, the city relies on about $300 million in federal funding. We just saw last week the school district of Boston lost about $3.5 million in unspent COVID relief funds. You're putting together, you say, a lean budget because of the uncertainty coming out of the White House in Washington. We'll get our first look at that tomorrow on Monday. Have you made a decision about these 2,000 jobs that you may eliminate? Will they be cut?
I'm not sure exactly which 2,000 jobs you're talking about, because our goal is to present a budget that protects city services.
There's been reporting that you might try to trim the city's workforce.
So we are not doing a hiring freeze, and we are not doing mass layoffs. I know there's been a call by some who say that the city every year, and especially this year, should just be cutting and slashing. And first, I just want to say from my point of view, it's dangerous, I think, to come into a debate about important policy decisions without having history or context if you've just moved to the city and you haven't been involved. We're seeing the results of just a run-in without history and context, start cutting and slashing approach in billionaire Elon Musk, for example, at the federal level, and the devastation that is trickling down to our communities. It's important to have the context about what the city budget is and isn't. It's different from state and federal. By law, we have to have a balanced budget at the local level every year, and property taxes overall are capped at 2.5% increase, which is below inflation every year. And so we're already very fiscally disciplined to be able to have more than a decade of a AAA bond rating going back for the city of Boston. This year, though, because of all the federal uncertainty, we have to both maintain and cut vacancies, jobs that haven't been filled in a long time, but also don't jump ahead to say we're assuming that the worst for sure will happen, because that will lead to cutting city services that are needed now more than ever.
So you want to hope for the best when it comes to the federal funding, but you do plan to eliminate some of these open jobs. Is 2,000 the right number?
We will have no new headcount in the city of Boston, no new positions being created. Departments are trimming down in terms of non-personnel costs, supplies and equipment, all of that. We're all experiencing some shared sacrifice and discipline on that front, but protecting the city workforce is really important to deliver the services that people need. And so we are maintaining what we have, really fighting to prioritize the jobs that are critical to making sure streets are clean, people are safe, schools are well funded, and can deliver for our young people, while not jumping ahead. I wouldn't say that we're hoping for the best. We're preparing for the worst, but making the decisions that we'll be able to deliver and keep Boston stable.
I covered your testimony down in Washington, D.C. when you testified before Congress on so-called sanctuary cities. Now, the White House has called you, this is a quote, a radical mayor. You defended Police Commissioner Michael Cox, who was blasted by border czar Tom Homan. Does staying in the crosshairs of the Trump administration hurt the city of Boston, or is there a way to negotiate with this administration?
I think we are seeing examples in all different sectors of a federal administration that is trying to use fear and intimidation and bullying to get their way. Colleges and universities who are having to strike deals at the threat of funding being pulled. Major law firms who are now committing to volunteering their pro bono work on pet causes of the president in order to avoid being crushed. And city governments also being hauled before Congress to answer for common sense policies that keep everyone safe. So this is not, in some ways,
I'm getting the sense no room for negotiation here.
The federal government has their role, and we can't control what they do, and elections matter, and this is where we are. But we also can't stay silent when it comes to what our residents need here in the city of Boston. And so I am not going to back down from putting the investments where they need to be in our very diverse community, in our young people, in public health and public education, and all the things that have helped make us the safest major city in the country, and that we need to continue doing.
I want to ask you about border czar Tom Homan said he was here during that recent ICE crackdown where 370 people were taken into custody. He admits there were some collateral arrests, is what he says. A number of dangerous criminals, they say, were also arrested. You have said the Trust Act has made the city safe, but are you troubled that also there were some pretty dangerous people who had to be taken into custody by ICE?
The federal government has its role, and our laws on the books in Boston, from the Trust Act to the state laws, have always made it possible and have actually worked to make it easier for federal and city to federal, city, and state to collaborate when it comes to situations where there's a criminal record or dangerous and violent background. That has always been part of how we implement our laws here, and so it's not anything different from what had been done to take the authority of the federal government and address crime and have accountability. What is different is we are hearing reports of federal agents coming in, committing property damage, smashing windshields, snatching people off the street who have no criminal record whatsoever, threatening. We have heard some anecdotal reports of people being stopped in the street and just asked for papers based on how they look. And the worst part of all is that we can't verify this. We don't want to jump to conclusions, but without any information on who was arrested, why they were arrested, and what the tactics were, that is very threatening to our community's sense of trust. Our police wear body cameras. We can verify what happens and how our policing happens responsibly. This is a whole different approach, and it is one that is causing tremendous fear, rightly so, in our communities, and that we are not sure if it's even following the Constitution and the laws of this country.
More with Boston Mayor Michelle Wu after the break.